Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 27th member of the Kansas City Royals Hall of Fame, Ned Yost.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. This is indeed a tremendous honor. There are three main reasons why I'm here today. The players, the coaches, and the entire Kansas City Royals organization. Players get here on their own merit. I'm here because of the hard work and dedication of others. I spent 17 years in the Atlanta Braves organization, 5 as a minor league coach and manager, and 12 years in the major leagues under Hall of Fame manager Bobby Cox. I then went to Milwaukee and spent 7 years there as a major league manager. Those experiences taught me a great deal. We had a great group of young, talented players who came up together in Atlanta and Milwaukee. Both teams were in dead last place when they came up. My experience was 2.5 years later, these players developed into a championship caliber team. Coming to Kansas City, I knew that it takes talent to win. No matter how hard you want to, without talent, you will go nowhere. But boy, did this team have talent. In 2010, we had the 16th ranked minor league system. In 2011, we had the #1 ranked system. And then in 2012, we were #2. We had young players in the minor leagues like Salvador Perez, Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, Alex Gordon, Greg Holland, Kelvin Herrera, Aaron Crow, Danny Duffy, Gerard Dyson, Luke Hochever, Paulo Orlando, and Christian Colon. In 2011, we added Alcides Escobar and Lorenzo Cain. In 2012, we added Wade Davis and James Shield. In 2014, we added Jason Vargas and Chris Young, and in 2015, Edison Volquez. These guys were the nucleus of our championship team. My job was to give them time, just like in Atlanta and Milwaukee, to develop and gain experience. In order to do that, I knew I had to create a winning attitude. Consistency, structure, organization, and discipline were key. I wanted our players to know exactly what they were doing the second that they came into the clubhouse to the minute they left. If you provide that for them, they will go anywhere you want them to go. It was also direly important to believe in your players and share your goal. My only goal was to bring a World Series championship to the Kansas City Royals. I wanted people who were kids in 1985 who enjoyed the championship with their moms and dads now be able to share that experience with their own children. That was extremely important to me. At times, it was hard for you to understand what I was doing. My objective was to allow each player to gain as much experience as possible so they would be prepared to compete for a championship down the line. I would rather lose today so that we could win it all tomorrow. When people couldn't understand why I wouldn't pinch hit late in the ball game or why I left a pitcher in a hitter or two longer than they shot I should, that was for the player to gain experience for how to handle those tough situations, which all paid dividends in 2014 and 2015. Early in the process, Dayton brought this Royals hammer down to my office. And as you see, it's a beautiful hammer. Baseball stitching, Royals and Royals. I thought it was cool. Cool hammer. I looked at it and said, "That's neat. What's it for?" Dayton looked me straight in the eyes and said, "With this, we're going to build something great together." During another conversation with Dayton, we were talking about the players. I told him, "Dayton, Salvador Perez, Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, Alex Gordon, Greg Holland, Kelvin Herrera, Alcides Escobar, Lorenzo Cain, Billy Butler, Aaron Crow, and Wade Davis. These guys are all going to be all-stars." Dayton looked at me and he said, "We're going to have a team full of all-stars?" And as funny as it sounded at the time, I believed it. And in 2015, sure enough, we had 7 all-stars on the American League squad. And each and every one of those guys made an all-star team during my tenure here. Bobby Cox told me when I became a manager, "Coaches prepare the players, you manage the game." I wanted coaches who had great work ethic, knowledge, experience, and energy. Coaches who could teach, mentor, and believe in our players as much as I did. I found that in a tremendous group of coaches. Dale Swaim, Rusty Kuntz, Mike Jershely, Pedro Gaffal, Dave Island, Don Wakamatsu, and Doug Henry. They spent endless hours daily on the computer and on the field, working for any advantage to help us win. Each and every one of them was all in. And one of the main reasons we were so successful during that time was because of their tremendous ability to teach players winning baseball. What you see on the field is just the tip of the iceberg. It takes the entire organization pulling together to have success. And we had a truly hardworking and dedicated organization. It all started with the front office led by Dayton Moore. You have people like J.J. Bacolo, Scott Sharp, Jen Wong, Renee Francisco, Dr. Daniel Mack, Kyle Vannell, all held together by the expertise of Emily Penning. We had a great amateur scouting department led by Lonnie Goldberg and a great pro scouting department led by Gene Watson. Scouts like Mitch Webster, Mike Pasick, Tim Conroy, Jim Fregosi Jr., and Alex Zumwalt. They spent countless hours combing the country for players that could help us win. And I would have to mention the great Art Stewart, who was without a doubt our biggest supporter. We had a great player development staff that worked with our young players diligently to get them ready to play in the big leagues. Their impact was essential for what we were trying to accomplish. They worked as hard behind the scenes as we did on the main stage. We had an extremely talented group of trainers led by Nick Kinney, Kyle Turner, and Jeff Blum. All the players were kept in tip-top shape by conditioning coach Ryan Stoneberg. They worked tirelessly late into the night and on off days to make sure players were able to get on the field and perform at their highest level. We had a great group of doctors from the University of Kansas Health System, led by Dr. Key and Dr. Nolan, who took care of our every medical need. In my opinion, our clubhouse staff was unparalleled, led by Jeff Davenport. Under Jeff was Chuck Hawk, Pat Gorman, Jake Van Overen, Tyler Elgenter, Brent Penner, and Tom Walsh. And our every dietary need was fulfilled by TJ Stack, a phenomenal chef. It's hard to imagine how much they took care of each and every need that we had, from tickets to hotels to cleaning our laundry and sorting our mail. The job that they did was very unheralded, but crucial to our success. Every night we played on a field that was immaculately prepared by the Kansas City Royals grounds crew, led by Trevor Vance. So we always had a top-notch field to compete on here at home. We also had a great broadcasting crew under the leadership of Mike Swanson. Denny Matthews, Ryan Lefevre, Rex Hudler, Steve Fizerock, Steve Stewart, Joel Goldberg, and Jeff Montgomery all brought the excitement into your house every night with great energy. In closing, I want to say a couple of special thanks. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Glass. Today would have been his 88th birthday. He was a dogged competitor. He hated to lose, and he would get grumpy. I'd hear a knock on the door. He'd be standing there, and he'd look at me, and he said, "Can I have a few minutes of your time?" And I'd always look at him, and I'd say, "Well, that just depends on your attitude, doesn't it?" He would smile and laugh and sit down on my couch. I would tell him where we're at, I'd tell him where we're going, and I'd tell him how we're going to get there. And he never left my office without laughing and smiling. And he never left without asking this question: what can I do to help? He was a fantastic owner, and I loved Mr. Glass, and I know he's looking down on us right now at this very moment. I'd like to thank Dayton Moore. Dayton and I had a special relationship, as he said earlier. For 10 years, we worked diligently hand in hand to try to do what was best for this organization and for this city. Dayton was the one that made crucial deals that brought in Alcides Escobar, Lorenzo Cain, Wade Davis, James Shields, Jeremy Guthrie, Chris Young, Johnny Cueto, and Ben Zobrist. All the guys were crucial to help us win World Series and championships. Dayton was the one that came into my office in spring training, or before spring training, and said, "Look, we can't afford to spend money on starters, so I'm going to give you the very best bullpen that I can get you." I didn't have any idea that he would amass 5 closers in that bullpen. When we had Hawley and Wade, and we had Herrera, Hoge, Ryan Matson, the opposing team knew that in the 5th inning, if we were down 2, if we were tied, or if we were ahead, that game was over. Under Dayton's leadership, we accomplished the hardest thing to do in all of baseball: a small market team winning a world championship. There's not a player that has walked through that clubhouse that hasn't admired Dayton, that hasn't respected Dayton for his integrity, his honesty, and his support. Every man ended up loving Dayton more, as I do, Dayton. I love you very much. Thank you for everything. I would like to thank the players and the coaches. Every single day, they gave everything that they had. They played their hearts out for you. They played their hearts out for each other. And those 10 years with these kids were some of the happiest times of my life. And I appreciate them greatly. And every time I see them, I get a warm spot in my heart. Love you guys. September 17th marks my 46th anniversary. Deb and I have been married for 46 years. For the first 42, she had to go it on her own. She was so supportive. She knew that when I came to the baseball field, I was all in. And she was all in raising our family. Without her love, without her support, there's no way that I'd be standing here right now. For 42 years, she allowed me to chase my dream. So being away from her, really, in a sense, for half the year, for 42 years, the last 4 years, I've been with her every moment that I could. Thank you, baby, for everything. One thing that I would like to say is that you've never heard me say this, but every single night before I go to bed, I'd pray. And I would ask God every night to protect these players, to keep these players strong, keep them healthy, keep them continuing to have energy every single day and play their best for this city, for their family, and for their teammates. And I always ended that prayer with, Lord, please help us win a championship. This is a phenomenal city. These are phenomenal fans, and they deserve it, Lord God. And in 2014, 2015, God blessed us all. And finally, to you fans, thank you for your support. I knew, even as a player in the early 80s, when we would come in here to watch the great George Brett teams play, the energy and the excitement that was generated in this stadium. And I knew that we could do that again. We just had to do our part. But your support has been phenomenal. And without you guys, all of this wouldn't mean much. So because of you, it means everything. Thank you for everything. I truly appreciate this special night.